The romantic comedy is a hard one to pin down. The genre is known more for its cliches than for any attempt at originality, and studios have decided to unceremoniously dump the majority of movies within this category straight to Netflix. If the success of the Sydney Sweeney Glen Powell-led Anyone But You proves anything, there's still an audience out there who want to share in these tropes and maybe even weep alongside other theater goers. Yet the $220 million gross of that film wasn't enough to save Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy from a streaming release in the US. Luckily, I live in Australia, where I consider myself a distant relative to the United Kingdom, which means I get the opportunity to see this movie on the big screen. The cinema I watched it in was far from packed, but some theater snacks and a slushie always make the viewing experience just a little better. In the case of Mad About a Boy, it takes a solid romantic comedy and makes it even more enjoyable. As the fourth film in the franchise, this film takes the Bridget Jones character to new places. Now a widow, the title character is facing quite a lot of struggle finding success in the world of internet dating and the pressures that come with trying to move on from the grief of her late husband. Things take a turn for the better when she meets Rockstar, a young man played by the White Lotus's Leo Woodall. Is it a turn for the better though, or the worst? I'll let you find out for yourself. Though this movie is classified as a romantic comedy, I'd say it's more romantic than comedic. Certainly there are some solid jokes throughout, with a great performance by Renee Zellweger at the helm, but this film shares more in common with Richard Curtis's About Time than it does with How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. At its core, this is a movie about moving on from grief and the struggle for an aging woman to find love. Bridget Jones is such a lovable, dorky character, portrayed brilliantly by Zellweger, and the movie devotes a lot of time getting us to understand the ins and outs of her daily issues, so that when the emotionally climatic moments hit, they land with the impact of a blow and not a thud. Famously, curmudgeon Hugh Grant reprises his role of Daniel Cleaver, and though I don't believe his claims that he cried during the script, I mean seriously, have you ever heard the guy talk? He delivers an effectively poignant performance nonetheless. I would argue his relationship with Bridget Jones is the heart of the movie. I wasn't a big fan of Leo Woodall in The White Lotus, maybe because he seemed like a prick who would flip me off in traffic, but here he plays a character with a lot of heart and shares genuine chemistry with Jones, which makes them incredibly easy to root for. Chiwetel Ejiofor flexes his comedic muscle in the role of Scott Walker, a teacher at British children's school. I'm frustrated this guy doesn't have a bigger career in Hollywood. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been compelling in everything I've seen him in, and believe me, he can do better than fifth billing in a forgettable Marvel movie, but I'll take what I can get. Earlier on, I made a distinction between this movie and the average romantic comedy, and while a lot of that has to do with tone and where it decides to put its focus on, I'm almost as impressed by this movie's genuinely surprising narrative. It's not Parasite or anything of the sort, but I expected this movie to hammer in one message and it ended up conveying another, and for that, I'm impressed. It's certainly more than I can say for the average romantic comedy. That said, this unpredictable nature is a double-edged sword. There's an old quote I came across which says that a book should be written in such a way where the reader should be able to complete the story in their head just by reading a few pages. In spirit, I take that to mean that nothing in the third act should come completely out of left field. The conclusion of a film should feel like a natural progression of what came before. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about this movie, which shifts into a completely different frequency in the final half an hour, delivering a final stretch which doesn't build off the momentum of the first two acts, but instead feels like a car engine rebooting and restarting itself moments before it can get to the finish line. In such moments, the film attempts to elicit an emotional emotional reaction not by earning one, but by holding us at gunpoint and demanding it. It's as if they crammed an entire 90 minutes worth of movie into a half hour, resulting in a movie that's in over its head about what it can get away with. But when it's not trying to pull rabbits out of a top hat and convince you that two characters who barely know each other are soulmates, it's an incredibly effective romantic comedy which doesn't fall prey to all of the tropes you would expect it to. The performances are brilliant, the comedy works, the drama moments for the most part land, and it's pretty impressive that a fourth installment of a long-running franchise is this good. And as a David Bowie fan, I quite enjoyed the Modern Love needle drop. And for that, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for weekly TV and movie reviews. And if you've had the chance to watch the new Bridget Jones, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Where would you rank it with the rest of the franchise? I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time.